Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back with another one, another classic. If you've been listening to this show, this program, then you know that we bring this guy up when we talk about SmackDown in '06, when we talk about the good old days, when we talk about the 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 peak era of the ruthless aggression, man. We talk very highly of this man. A very special guest with us today, Jimmy Wang Yang in the building, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Hi, man. Jimmy Wang Yang. I'm your boy.
The legend.
Just kidding. Actually, today I'm James Young's side, but I appreciate you guys. You always have my back. But where's that motherfucker Cole at? That dude talking shit.
I sent him the link, man. Let's see if he's ducking smoke, man.
It looks like Codie's running from the smoke. All right. And just like that, our boy James has come out with his first book. It is dropped. It's in your phone right now. Go over to Amazon.
Yes, indeed.
James, want to talk about it a little bit? Let people know what they can expect from this autobiography.
Yeah. So it dropped today on Amazon. It's on audiobooks on Apple or Spotify if you have any of those. I'm not I'm not the best reader, so I didn't really read too many books, but like how I learn is audio. So the download and the audiobooks, like that's how I read books and learn and all that kind of stuff. But this is basically my autobiography. It's like how I grew up and like a lot of I basically lived in the gutter and climbed out of the gutter and to do what I've done in professional wrestling. This goes back from I'm born and my parents middle school when I lost my virginity at 11. So just your boy's getting down back in the day. So
11 is crazy. Hold on, what?
Yeah, high school hustle. I kind of grew up on food stamps and ramen. So what's y'all's favorite ramen? You like ramen?
Yeah, the beef flavor paws and the chicken flavor were essentials in my household.
Yeah, man, classic chicken flavor, the orange pack.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I go and take it. So but then how I got into professional wrestling, I started in Atlanta at a small company called Good Old Days Wrestling. Today it is called the WWA 4 out of Atlanta with AR Fox and Teriyaki and all those guys down there. But before it was Good Old Days and got in there and then get how I got into WCW. It's a kind of crazy story. My tryout match was at this bar, and it was me and AJ Styles versus Jason Cross and my partner Ryan Forrester. So some things that y'all not nobody a lot of people or some people know that, but not a lot of people. But now everybody's gonna know it. So that WCW tryout match was me and AJ. So me and AJ go way back. So.
And this was at a bar.
Yeah, doing wrestling matches at a bar. I've seen without a ring those type of events. I didn't know they had them with a ring. It sounds pretty electric. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and even that time, I started so young. I was only 17 at this bar, 21 up bar, but I was still in high school, 17. But I loved wrestling, and we started training there, and it was crazy, because I was just a kid, like a kid in a man's world, and I just remember these Friday night shows, just everybody getting all fucked up. I remember actually all these wrestlers. I remember that's the first time I met New Jack. And I love New Jack, so I went to the ECW pay-per-views, WrestlePalooza in '97, all this kind of stuff. But this motherfucker came up and was like, "Oh snap, it's New Jack! I just remember you wrestled Bam Bam Bigelow at this Cobb County Civic Center, and he threw you off the balcony." All this crazy stuff. And you know, it was like marking out huge for New Jack. And then later that night, he like stabbed somebody in the parking lot.
Yeah.
You got the full New Jack experience right there in one night.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why, because you was like, yo, my tryout match was at a bar, and in my head, I don't know why I feel like wrestling is, well, now, you know, I feel like it's like another job. You know, you come professional. I feel like, yo, I'm about to try out for this wrestling company. I'm gonna pull up with a shirt and tie. Nah, they're like, yo, pull up to this dingy bar and fight for 20 minutes,
Yeah,
and then
it
we'll
was
see where
great.
it goes from there.
It was
And if New
wild. I
Jack
just remember
stabbed you,
guys
yeah.
in the back just getting, you know, I was at a bar, so you know, like open bar, the promoter just feeding everybody drinks and whatever
Oh hell
else, you
yeah,
know.
Long
And
Island's flowing.
I was like, oh my goodness! And I was 17, you know, so I'm like, just it's kind of crazy.
Now, quick question: do you get paid for the tryouts? Like, because you're having a match there, so are they just like, listen, it's your tryout, that's your payment, or how does that work?
So when you're green in the business and first starting, you don't get paid, you know. So
Oh,
like,
nice.
you know, so it's like, but I just love wrestling so much. I was so passionate about it. Like even like my schedule was crazy because I was still in high school, but so I'd wake up, go to school. I played all the sports in high school, so I go to practice and then I go drive 30, 40 minutes to this bar, go train wrestling for like 2.5 hours and then come home and do it all over again and then wrestle on the weekend. But like to me, like I also have a you know wrestling school in Atlanta, so like Yang's Dojo, whatever, cheap plug, you know. But I tell those guys like you can't start charging to wrestle until you're become a real professional wrestler. And what I kind of try to explain that to them is like if you went to if your car needed brakes and you know you go to the brake shop and you expect these people to put your brakes on properly, you know, and then they do, and then you pay them for the job, right? Because you expect them to do this right. But if you don't know everything about professional wrestling, and you're not a real professional wrestler, and to go out there and do what you have to do. Like if you took your car to the brakes and like you got home and your tire fell off, what would you do?
Yeah.
So I'm sewing, pal.
Yeah, nah, listen, I'm coming out with a brand new whip. I'm getting the 2027 Altima.
Yeah. So that goes to wrestling. So like if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, going out there and entertaining and everything that goes along with being a professional wrestler, you don't deserve to get paid because, like let's say, even in a fancy restaurant, if I'm, you know, if my meal's not right, not right, you know, I'm not paying for it, you know. So
Yeah,
word.
kind of same rules apply for being a professional. You know.
So I have a question. So you said you would go to school and then you will go train. You paid for the training also, or no? Like, was there like a job, a high school job in between this,
Yeah.
or
So I didn't have to train for professional wrestling training, but I did start working at 14. I was a bag boy at Kroger, worked at the Dairy Queen, and worked at a southern restaurant called Po Folks. But so this is another crazy story, like about promoters, and you know, there's a lot of stuff that's not allowed nowadays that was allowed back then. So like. I because my best friend actually started a week before me because he got kicked off the basketball team and he was hanging out at the church and this older gentleman indie wrestling promoter really liked him, so he's the one that suggested two 17-year-olds to come to wrestling school and wrestle with him at a 21 and up bar, you know. So like it's like kind of uh you know, but you know, we had to pay, but like, you know, like, I know everybody has a little Asian fetish in them, so like that's probably why I got the discount. So like, but as now I like, you know, even the book like rewriting my story. I kind of like a lot of effed up stuff happened to me. And I got a lot of trauma, but like,
yeah, I was gonna say, so like going back, you're probably sitting there and you're like, oh no, it seemed pretty regular at the time. Then you go back and you're like, wow,
Hold
I
on,
really went through some trauma
bro,
in this whole life thing.
bro. He wasn't trying to train me for. He was just trying to fill up on me.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like just there's a lot of those stories about the past. Like even it happens nowadays too.
Mhm.
But like I don't want to bring up.
Wait, so was he an actual wrestler or not?
Yeah, he was a guy that loved to tell people that he was a wrestler. But like
I
he
was
wasn't
just about to
really.
say, because if he's just a dude like, yo, I'm a real wrestler.
Yeah,
Look,
he
I could
was
do an
like.
elbow drop.
Yeah,
You
he's
know.
more like the promoter and like a lot of guys love to do that. The ones that can't wrestle become promoter. I should say.
I mean, are you wrong? I don't see a world where you are.
But
Damn.
a
Except for,
lot,
I guess now it's kind of different, but still.
but a lot of promoters like to act like the boss, and they
Yeah.
like that power and the people because there's so many people that love wrestling so much they'll do a lot of things to be a wrestler. Like
Mhm.
a lot of promoters like to be like the boss, or they also like to be like Pat Patterson.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
kind of I
That's
don't
true.
want yeah. So
I see exactly what you're seeing. If you read between the lines.
Yeah, nah. For real, if you read between the lines, we know exactly what you're talking about. But
Mhm.
I mean, that we're in a different age now. I feel like there's a lot of guys that's come through, the ranks over the between the '90s, the 2000s, who have now opened up wrestling schools and stuff like that. Like yourself, I think. I think who else has a wrestling school? I know. Does Bubba have a wrestling school also, or does he just
Devon,
teach?
Devon,
Devon has a wrestling school, so there's, I feel like there's a lot of guys that's opening up wrestling schools. Booker also.
Booker T, yeah.
Um, so yeah, I feel like now it's easier for people to get good training. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot easier for people to be like, damn, I want to be a professional wrestler. Where do I go? And there's good places. You know what I'm saying for
yeah,
them to
there
go
is,
to.
and then that's the thing. Just like there is options. There's definitely options if you really want to become a professional wrestler. There is options. That where you can go and get trained by somebody that has a lot of experience. But like
Mhm.
economy now is kind of rough. So like somebody like, well, they charge this much. I can go down here and and only pay this much.
Yeah.
But then they're gonna not get trained properly. So like
Which is why everybody should go train with you at the Yun Dojo,
Yang's dojo,
the
Yang.
Yang's Dojo. So lock in if you really trying to get with the graps.
We gotta go to. It's in Atlanta, right?
Yeah. It's like 20 minutes west of Atlanta in a town called Hiram, Georgia. Um, but like but that's the thing, like say a lot of trainers out there's a lot of people that teach wrestling, but like your trainer can only teach you what they know,
Mhm.
so like if they haven't been to WWE or Japan or Europe or there's like there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So,
And you started by started this by talking about your WCW tryout. So in life, what happens shortly after that tryout, and how do you continue in the wrestling
what's
business?
that? So after the tryout, like so even the tryout was me, AJ versus Jason Cross and Ryan Forrester, and then like Chris Canyon's the one that came and evaluated us, but like but he didn't show up alone. Like I grew up in Atlanta, so I'm a huge WCW fan. He brought like 10 wrestlers with him. I was like, holy snap. And it's like Ron Reese. I was like, oh no, a sick boy, like Raven. I'm like, oh my God, these guys are like here. And I'm like, it's like so surreal because like 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 even that year I used to dress up as these dudes, and like like there's a crazy story about me stalking DDP and Halloween, you know, dressing up as wrestlers and knocking on every door until I found him, and that's what I did. Like 17-year-old kid dressing up as Sting. So, and, a few months later, like I'm standing with these guys, and they're like watching me wrestle. I'm like, oh my God, it's crazy. But anyways, after a match, it was I was just being such a mark. I'm like, oh my God, Raven, Disco Inferno. Oh my God, you guys are so awesome, blah, blah, blah. And then they had a bar across the street called American Pie. And I say, oh, we're going to go over there, if you want to come over there. But I'm like, I hope they don't ID me. I'm not going to be able to get it. But it's like, y'all just come with us. We got it, and those WCW wrestlers. So went in there and hung out with them. But then after that day, I had to go back to high school, So like the next day, then Monday, wake up and, start school. And then, I played basketball, baseball, football, and wrestling. So like, and just started that process over. And then like a few weeks later, and Kenyon called again and was like, "Hey, Jimmy, uh, I want you to meet me and Ryan. I want you and Ryan to come meet me for breakfast at Crackle Barrel." It's like, "Oh hell yeah!" Like hell yeah, like it's like hanging out with the WCW wrestler. And we skipped school and we went, and then he was. I don't remember I don't remember the conversation, but I just being a mark and like, oh my god, like what, this and that, asking him a whole bunch of questions, and then that breakfast ended. We went back to teenage life, and then like a few weeks later, he calls me again. He says, "Hey Jimmy, you told me you work at a restaurant." So I worked at Po Folks. It's like a southern restaurant. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but it's closed down now. But like I was a cook, and they say, "Hey, we're gonna come to your work." Say, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll hook you up with the free free muffins." They had free peach bread, so whatever. So so they came to the restaurant, and then everybody in there is freaking out. The waitresses. It was Canyon. It was Glacier. I think Ron Reese was there. Like Luther Biggs. Like they come and come and get some food. So I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna cook you the greatest country fried steak and some collard greens and some pinto beans. Like I'm gonna hook this meal up, big fat. Like, and so I did my best to make them the best meal. And then after I was done and they got done eating, I went out there and talked to them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, everything was great. The fried green tomatoes, all this stuff." And I sat down. They said, "Oh, sit down, and talk." And then that's when Chris Canyon told me, he said, "Hey, WCW's going to hire you and Ryan, and also Jason and AJ." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "This is crazy." Like it's like such a shock, and it's so real. I'm sitting there, I'm cooking chicken livers and stuff, and then I was sitting at the table with Chris Canyon and Glacier, and they just offered me a WCW contract. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is crazy," and then they went on, and then like I turned 18 in May of 1999. I signed my first contract in June of 1999. I had a contract at graduation, and I became the youngest wrestler ever to sign with WCW. So.
Wow.
That's fun. Yo, do you know how much shit I would be talking if I was a senior in high school? Like, bro, I don't even need. I'm not coming to class, bro. I'm going. I'm gonna be a WCW wrestler in 3 months, bro. Kiss my ass.
It's me and Sting in the main event. Just watch.
Yeah, I wish.
How did you like? Because I know me. That's what I would have done. I would have went telling everybody, like, bro, I'm signed, bro. I'm signed to the label already. I don't know about y'all. Y'all might have to go work at Winn Dixie or whatever it is. But me, you feel me? I'm out. It's gonna be me and Goldberg. I'm gonna holler at you. So, like, were you talking cash shit, or were you just you had to keep it on the hush?
I didn't talk shit for sure, but like I was always been a sports star of the county. Like I was a dude in the county, dude. I was a dude, so like I kind of was used to the attention, kind of things. But like, but the like, but like the good thing, like I had that contract at graduation. I had it showing, I was showing people that I signed to WCW, but like. But the thing is like I don't know, like I don't know from my coaches to not talk too much, like. But I talk shit. I definitely talk shit. But like, but the thing is, I signed that contract and I went to the power plant, and my first contract only lasted 4 months, and I got fired. So like I'm glad I didn't, get all like, like it's, whatever, because like kind of that kind of 4 months, everybody at school, everybody in the county did know I signed to WCW, and then all of a sudden 4 months later, so and then I was like, and then that kind of that hit me so hard, dude. Like that, I remember I got pulled into office by Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful. He was my trainer, and I wasn't expecting, and all of a sudden he like told me I was fired, and I was like, it hit me hard, and I was like, all of a sudden I started crying like a little bitch, like, like, but I was crying like when you hyperventilate crying, so it's more, what, so I was like, I just remember that moment, and then I'm like, it hit me so hard, and I was like, my dad, and I just remember Paul Orndorff picking me up and like, Jimmy, you're only 18. It's like, this is just part of the business. I didn't understand it, like, but, I did everything you told me to do, and I was early. I was late. But, and then, yeah, then things happened and I left, and then I went, I tried to go in hiding because everybody knew, like it's like I didn't want to show my face anyway, like because like everywhere I went, people would say, "Hey, how's WCW going?" I said, "I just lost my dream job," So like, but one story, it's because it hit me so hard, but my dad lived on the other side of the city, so I'm like, oh man, I want to go over there because nobody knows me, So like, and like I asked my dad, say, "Hey, can I come crash at your place for a little bit, till I figure out things?" And he said, "Nope." So I said, "No, you can't live with me." Like, well, I have a bad relationship with my dad, anyways. But like, but it kind of hit me harder. Like that was rough for an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
So,
I could imagine. And you said, you were a star athlete, so you were playing baseball, football, basketball, things like that. So it's probably like one of your first experiences, being cut in a sense.
yeah.
So, it makes sense that, the youngest signee at WCW has that reaction because, you're so young, you don't know, how to process all those emotions and things like that. So
Yeah. Also, real quick, because I do want to ask about your transition from WCW to WWE, but I also Manny bringing up the star athlete question. I want to know, like, after you got cut, was it ever a thought like, you know what, I am a star athlete. I could probably, why don't I go try and do like collegiate baseball, collegiate basketball? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you try to go that route and maybe play a different sport, or was it always
Yeah.
wrestling?
So like I had offers for baseball, like in high school, like had offers to go to college, right? Like to play baseball, like it, but like that's my passion for wrestling was I always loved wrestling since I was when I forever, right? And the first memory, like Sting is my dude, like I just remember seeing this dude and I fell in love with him, like, and then all the Monday Night Wars that just jacked up my like my fandom so much more, so my focus was wrestling, but also baseball, and then it's like when I had got the offer for baseball, and then I got the offer from WCW. So like I said, well, I can go play baseball and not get paid for the next 4 years, or I can get a WCW wrestler and get a contract, So like, but remember, I grew up on ramen noodles, so like I was like, oh snap, like I'm gonna get paid, and like I know at the time I thought it was a lot of money. My first contract was for 22,000 a year, baby, $400 a week. I was like, oh snap, rich, like, like, so like,
For an
and
18-year-old, that's mad bread. I'm like,
yeah, no, I could have copped a Lambo with that at 18.
no, I went to the dealership to try to get a Acura NSX because I saw it on the road. But I didn't know anything about how much money everything went, But I walked in there and said, "Oh, I'm a WCW wrestler." It's like, "Oh yeah," like you got your, how much you make? I said, "Oh, 22,000 a year, baby." They said, this car might be out of your range. So I did pull up to the car place. I was like, but like yeah. So but after like that getting cut, but actually, I remember getting cut in middle school for basketball, but it wasn't everything. It wasn't about the talent, it was about the politics and and the rich kids' parents and like that, the rich kids. What do they call it?
Like the nepo babies.
The parents that give the money and like they do the fundraisers, like the
Oh, so they're like
high school and middle school, like they
The trust fund kids.
not the trust fund kids, but like they're definitely the rich kids, and then the booster club, the booster club, and their parents are on the booster club, and they got this Korean dude just crossing these little white boys. It was like, like, oh no, like it and I got cut because of that situation, and it fueled my fire. Like, I'll fucking beat these motherfuckers, like I don't care how much money they got, but they don't have, like the grit that I have, so just worked on practicing and just, playing all the time. But like, so that fueled my fire to make the high school teams and all that stuff. And then get fired from WCW, you know, uh, fired, and I go try to reach out to my dad, and he closed the door, and I was like, "Fuck these motherfuckers," like I want to fucking get back, So like, and there's a story about like I started back on Independent, started rocking it down here, and then I was like, I gotta get back. I want to be back in WCW. So I'm surprised I had these kahunas back then, but like I went back into WCW, knocked on the door, let me in, went straight to Paul Orndorff's office and sat down with him. Say, Paul, like, I really want this, and here's all my information. Like if you need me, I'm ready. So like I'm ready to do this. So uh, and then like the week later, he called me and said, "Hey Jimmy, we need you for WCW Saturday night." And I was like, "What?" I was like, and then that kind of like made things start rolling in WCW. So.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I like how like no matter how good, whenever things get really good, you always revert back to being like a wrestling fan, and you start marking out like.
That's like me, a true heart, baby. Like I, yeah, I love that shit. I love wrestling, because yeah.
So how do we go? How did the transition go from WCW to WWE? Like what was that like?
So it's kind of crazy, but like I just, that last WCW Nitro, like we were there and we performed on that last Nitro, and I was like, but so going another crazy story. So like that last Nitro was at Panama City Beach, Florida. I'm 19 years old. I'm on TV. I'm a WCW wrestler, and so all my boys find out that that's going to happen. So they get there a week before me and say, "Hey, come down early. We're gonna have some fun." So like I get down there a few days early, and I just like being a 19-year-old kid on spring break as a WCW wrestler. So I'm having fun. Like I'm doing it all. Club La Vila. I remember Steve-O was there from Jackass. Like, yeah. I remember like we was at Club La Vila, and I'm like, again, 19 years old. I'm not supposed to be there, but like they usher me right up to the VIP, and we're all getting, having fun. And I just remember one story, crazy story, real quick. Like, Steve-O was there being his jackass, and then Wee Man was there too, and he did something to Sean O'Hara, and Sean O'Hara picked this motherfucker up, military pressed him, and threw him against the glass wall. It's like when the pickle hits the wall and it kind of goes down. It's like, oh snap! And then later, Wee Man they was tossing the little person, like it was like the crowd. I was like, what? This is crazy, So uh, so I'm that whole week I'm kind of partying with my boys, and then that Monday come, and then we show up to Nitro, and then everything hit me real hard. All of a sudden we're walking in, and they have all this WWE signage, like talent go that way, talent relation goes that way, all this kind of stuff. I was like, whoa, this is different. And then we had a team meeting or a team meeting, all of us wrestlers, and then we're sitting there, and all of a sudden the door opens up, and Shane McMahon walks through. I'm like, what? And Bruce Pritchard and Briscoe walks past him like, whoa, this is crazy, dude. Like this is something, and so then the day goes by, and then last Nitro, and then we have our match and all that kind of stuff, and then I'm watching because again we go back to I'm a super fan, so like I didn't want to go watch it in the back with the monitors, so I would sneak out to the crowd and watch it from the crowd because the live audience was the coolest part, like, and I'm watching this angle, I'm like, oh snap, this is awesome. Vince versus Shane, WWE versus WCW. I'm like, man, this is gonna be awesome. Like, this is probably the coolest angle of all time, like, and super. And then I found out they picked up my contract. I'm like, oh snap, I'm gonna be part of this. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But then I walked in the back, and I didn't realize 90% of the company just lost their jobs. So like everybody in the back is like crying, and so the end of an era. So like not to some of the wrestlers like, yeah, you're not going back to WWE. You're burnt your bridge. All that kind of stuff. But then you don't think about how many production people that have those jobs and their livelihood, and it takes a whole village to run, a WCW Nitro, and so I kind of was super excited, and then also went back, and reality hit me about what happened to these people. I'm like, oh crap, this is kind of bad, So, and but I was excited, sad, and then, but then they like, oh, we picked up your contract. You're gonna be part of this WCW invasion. I'm like, oh, really? Whoa, And then I think a lot of people know how that angle uh, worked out. So, and then we, it fizzled out, and then sat at home for a few weeks and got paid, and then they sent me up to Cincinnati for Heartland Wrestling Association for their developmental, and stayed up there for at first they say, oh, you might be up there for 2 weeks or you might be there for a year, but we suggest you move up there. So I moved up there, and then 6 months later they fired me. So I was like, yeah, so.
Absolute pain. It's like you've gotten all these opportunities, and just like when you start getting comfortable, things like that happen. Get cut from WCW, at 18, and now to WWE. But I'm assuming, like you did with WCW, you put your head down and you were like, you know what, we're gonna get this opportunity back. Yeah, we're gonna grind it out.
You guys know I have a record for being fired.
You do?
Yeah. Me and Marty Jannetty, I think we're tied.
Yeah. What's the number?
I think 5.
Oh, that's not
5 in total. But I've been released 4 times from WWE, so like, and then WCW, and then TNA, and then the All Japan Company.
when you put it that way, that means you had all those opportunities. When you really put it that way,
You're looking at the glass as half empty instead of half full.
No, it's an accomplishment. Like, that should be a trivia question.
Yeah. How many times has Jimmy Wang Yang been released?
Yeah.
That's a sick trivia question. But so how does the road lead you back to the WWE? I know you had a bunch of different characters in your life. So how does that come into play?
So after that last firing, I went to All Japan Pro Wrestling. So I started with All Japan Pro Wrestling, and bro, like, your boy was setting it off over there. Like, I know your boy. What's your friend's name that talks shit all the time?
Codie.
What is his name?
Codie.
Fuck Codie. Like, right? So like, so I went to All Japan, and your boy was like, was rocking over there. Like the second week, they put me in the main event at Corrigan Hall versus the Great Muta. So I don't know if you guys know Japanese wrestling, but like you know who that is, right?
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
okay. So I was doing my thing out there, and so and then while I was doing my thing over there, I was doing my Wang Yang or my thing over here, so I got my girlfriend pregnant. So, 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 uh, so, so she got pregnant, and then I was going back and forth Japan, and 2 weeks over there, a week over here, 3 weeks over there, 2 weeks here, and all that kind of stuff. Um, but it didn't really hit me until my daughter was born. So I was like, oh, she's pregnant. Like it's like this is what happens. People have babies. Whatever. And like yeah, I'll just be coming back and forth. And then I took the trip. But my daughter was 2 weeks early. But like I said, okay, I'm going to take this trip and then be back and have the birth, and I'll then do family life and then go back to work. Um, but she was 2 weeks earlier. I was in Hiroshima, and then finished the tour out, and I started getting pictures of her. And then when I got home and got off the airplane, and I saw her for the first time, bro, that shit hits you hard. Like you becoming a dad, like it's like seeing your offspring, your baby girl, and like she's like 8 pounds. And I was like, how in the what? This is like that that that's life changing, bro. Like I didn't know it would affect me that hard, like I know people talking about parents and babies and we love our kids, all that kind of stuff, but like seeing her, and that's my baby, so. And then I was there for like a week, and then they say, oh, time to come back, so I was like, bro, leaving that was like rough.
Yeah. They didn't have parental leave in Japan?
What's that? No, no, wrestling. That's the thing, all those stories about wrestling and being on the road and missing birthdays and holidays and births and funerals and all that kind of stuff. That shit's real, like if you're doing it full time, that shit's really real. And but then I had to go there, and that's when my drinking habit picked up big time. It's like because go wrestle like and just think about the baby girl and just start drinking all this kind of stuff and the wrestling and all this kind of stuff. So I was losing it. Like I was losing it over there. So like I had to do something. I said, man, I got to get back to the States. I got to at least see her at least every week. Like because these Japanese tours 2-3 weeks. Like I got to do something to be able to see her every week. So that's when I reached out to WWE and was like, hey, I'm interested in coming back, like you guys give me a shot, like, and then they said, oh yeah, we can give you a tryout, and they sent me down to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and filmed the Sunday Night Heat, and they put me in there with Tommy Dreamer. So, but dude, we rocked that shit. Like you guys gotta go back and try to find it on YouTube. But like that was the greatest 5 minute Sunday Night Heat match. Like not to toot my own horn, but that was pretty good. Like it's like
I'm gonna have to go back and tap in, find that match.
I'm telling you, dude. Like it was really good. And then but that I put so much effort in it because of I had to come back home. Like I had like this was like life or death. Like there's no way I would have. I don't know if I didn't come back as a Keo. Like I don't know. Like I don't know if I would have made it in Japan. So.
Man, one thing that I respect about you is that you're not afraid to go back and just ask for a shot. You know what I'm saying? Like you did it with, with WCW and Paul Orndorff. Like, yo, look, this is really where I want to be. I'd love to come back and have an opportunity. And they welcomed you back. You know what I'm saying? You did the same thing with WWE. Hey, look, this is something I'm really passionate about. I'd love to come back, and they give you a shot. I know a lot of people that wouldn't even, I don't want to say wouldn't go back, but the thought of them trying to, knocking on that door is something they wouldn't even do. You know what I'm saying? So I respect the fact that you even did it. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
I appreciate that, man. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's if you don't take chances, like it's nothing's gonna happen. So like, I don't know. I probably, I don't know. It comes from my child. Like, like worst thing they can say is no. Like I believe in, like you know, why not? Like if they deny you, it does suck. But like it's not no reason to get scared and scared or give up on something. But like. But as I'm really surprised I did that at 18. Like walking into WCW, I'm only like 180 pounds, and Paul Orndorff was like the first real man I met in my life. Like that's an alpha dude right there. Like knocking on his door and like having that guts to do that. Like that's yeah, I'm kind of surprised I did that. So, but that's about something I wanted so much. This is my, I wanted it. Like, and that's what I did. But appreciate those kind words.
I respect it a lot. So I wanna ask you about the cowboy gimmick, the Jimmy Wang Yang, the Asian cowboy gimmick. How did
Mhm.
that come about? And when they pitched this to you, was it like, yo, come on, man, y'all, you really an Asian cowboy? Like, I want to know your thoughts to that when they said, yo, we got this idea for you. What do you think?
So I, there's a kind of crazy story, but like, your boy was single and he was living the life, and like me trying to get laid turned me into Asian redneck. So I'm like, how, uh, you know, pussy will make you do some crazy things. I'm telling you, like, like make you do some crazy things. So So what happened is because I was in Ring of Honor at the time, and I actually was doing something really cool in Ring of Honor. Like you guys know who Shonuff is, right? And the Last Dragon and
Mhm.
Bruce Leroy, right?
Mhm.
So I started a tag team with Bruce Leroy, Time Out. I don't know if y'all know that or not, but it's like like because I love that's my favorite movie of all time, Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, and so I reached out to him, and so we started doing this tag team in Ring of Honor. But Bruce Leroy, come on, catches bullets with his teeth, whatever. Uh, so the story about Jimmy Wang Yang. So like, anyways, WWE is coming to Lexington, so it's like an hour and a half from Cincinnati. I was talking to this really hot chick. Like she was hot. She was on the diva search and everything. I was like, oh, let me hook this up, baby. Like I'm gonna, say, hey, we'll get tickets. We'll go meet, backstage, and 'cause I was just working there because Keel got fired too. That was the one of the other times too. So like, but I was wrestling with this company for 2 years, and I'll say, oh, I still know the ticket guy. I'll get backstage, and this girl, hot blonde. So I go down to Lexington. So like, so I have to go backstage first. Like go find the people to hook it up. So I get back there, talking to somebody, and then like Vince passes by me and it's like, Jimmy, where the hell you been? I was like, uh, you fired me. What? I did? Oh no, we got to talk about this. I got to do this rehearsal. We'll talk afterwards. I'm like, this motherfucker doesn't know that he just fired me or fired me just a few months earlier. I was like, that's the first initial reaction, like, what just happened? Like, but like, he runs a $1 billion company. He's not paying attention to all the, wrestlers that he fired or releases, like all that kind of stuff. He has running all this stuff. So whatever. So I'm sitting at catering, like trying to find, the, what's the guy's name? Ruben. Ruben was Steve Ruben. That dude used to hook it up, So like, catering and say, hey, can you get me some really good tickets tonight? Like, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, a lot of people come running to me, like, hey, Jimmy, hey, what are you doing? Like, you doing anything? I said, no, I'm just eating a steak. So he said, hey, come to the ring. We need you. So like, so I go to the ring and everybody's freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? So like, and then I don't know if you'll look into the pay per view, but it was the pay per view that was Vince versus God, right? So and then so Vince and they had to do that, but Shawn Michaels was doing something with the Spirit Squad. So I don't know, you remember their old finish as a team? They just pick all your limbs up and toss you in there 20 feet.
Yeah, and then slam you.
Yeah. So this night they wanted to do it through a table, and me and Sean are like the same size. And so say, hey, we'll put Jimmy in there. He'll like let Sean see Jimmy go through it and then see if it's okay. I said, Jimmy, you mind? I'm like, I'm just trying to get some PUSSY, So like, I was like, if I got okay, whatever, like if I have to do this to get tickets, cool, So I get in there. So the funny thing is, and Michael P.S. Hayes tells Vince, like, should we let Jimmy do it? He's not under contract. And he's like, he should be under contract. Let him do it, And then they tossed my ass up in the air, went through the tables, and John's like, how was that? I was like, it was okay, not too bad, So, and then I said, oh, am I done? So, and then go to catering and then, try to, whatever, hook it up with the tickets, all that kind of stuff. And then before I'm about to go meet the girls, they come up to me and say, hey, Jimmy, what are you doing tomorrow? You know what your boy's going to be doing, like, this is my plan, like, that's my plan, like, yeah, so they say, oh, can you come to Columbus tomorrow for a Raw? I'm like, dang, like, and it's like 3 hours or something. I say, okay, I'll come to Raw, So, and then when I walk into Raw, they come up to me and say, hey, you got your gear, and wrestlers, they always keep their gear. So then it's like, oh, we got you in a match on Sunday Night Heat with Charlie Hollis, and we killed it too. Y'all look at that match too, So, and then so the night before, I said, okay, I got I need to focus on this Raw, so I'm not gonna fucking not gonna Wang Yanger that night. So then the next night, like the Raw, and then me and Charlie had the match, and then it's like, and that night was going to be bah, 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 But then, hey, well, can you come to Cincinnati tomorrow for SmackDown? I'm like, dang, yes, no, yes, no, yes. All right, I can do this one more time. So, and then I got back to Cincinnati to SmackDown, and once I walk in, they come at me and say, hey, we're gonna hire you again. I was like, okay, cool, And then afterwards, I was like, man, I want to go thank Vince for this, like, because this is so he fired me the first time, and fired me the second time, and now this is my third time. I'm like, man, that's kind of crazy that this dude would do that, but like, I just gotta, thank him, So I knock on his door and come in, So, hey, Vince, like, thanks for hiring me again. So, oh, I didn't know you fired, but whatever. So this time, last time, Jimmy, I didn't let you talk because you this half Korean dude from Georgia. You just, you're not like all the others, whatever. I was like, okay, but we're going to make a negative out of positive this time. I'm going to make you the Asian redneck. That's funny, And your name's gonna be Wang Yang, Jimmy Wang Yang. That rhymes. I was like, okay, whatever, like, as long as that check comes out every Monday, I'm cool. Like, he said, oh yeah, I'll be there every Monday. So get out of my office. I was like, okay. And then kind of how Jimmy Wang Yang came about.
Wow. Yeah, shout out to that date. Was she waiting outside this entire time? You come back like, hey, I got the tickets. You have like mad table bubble on your back.
But she liked that though, and then the seats once after that got out, and then it's like, 5 rows back, like right under the camera, perfect view of the ring, like nobody beside us. It was
So did you end up getting a clap, or would you just not get the hit?
Come on,
my fault, my fault, OG.
Come on, OG, baby, that's right. Come on, man. Come on.
My bad.
Yeah,
Your boy was a PIMP.
You a demon back in the days. Nah, that's tough. So you mentioned earlier, before, you mentioned your daughter, and I saw recently she's getting into wrestling also. When she approached you and said, "Hey, I want to get in the ring," what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, the first, that's when she told me. But like my daughter's like so much smarter than like she's prettier, she's smarter. Like she was like I was, she, I don't know. But anyway, she told me it's like, but she had this crazy experience, like, like she got to debut at 15 in Tokyo. But because Dad and Kaz Hayashi, our old Young Dragons team, was doing this 20-year reunion or something like that. And then when they called me and offered me to deal or wanted me to come over there, I said, well, I'll come if my daughter can come. So it's like be cool dad, like go to Tokyo, some Pokemon, some all that Dragon Ball Z, all this kind of stuff. Like I said, it'd be cool for a 15-year-old to do that. And then Kaz, my partner, said, "Oh yeah, she can come. She can do spot in the match." I'm like, "What? No, dude, she's 15. What are you talking about? She's a cheerleader, volleyball player. She's not. She is an athlete. She can hoop too. Like and." So, anyways, we go out over there, uh, come up with a spot like, hey, instead of Dad saving the day, you're going to save the day. I'm going to get knocked off the ring, like, and you got to do my part. I was like, oh no, can she do it? But she's athletic, and then we go over the spot, and it's against Shannon Moore. So she gets the hot tag, comes in, and starts whooping his ass, dude. Like she started throwing the forearms and hits the beautiful head scissors, and that place goes ape shit crazy. Like it's like going bananas out, and I'm like on the apron looking. I'm like, oh my god, like I cannot believe my baby's doing this. Like and went crazy. And then afterwards, we're going back to the hotel, but they have a lot of paparazzi for Japanese wrestling out there. So like, we're going to the hotel, and they're all waiting for us. And I think it's for me, right? My return back to Japan. These dudes just pass me, go straight to her. They got a camera in her. She's starting signing autographs, all that kind of stuff. And by the time we got back to the hotel room, she's like, "Dad, this is what I want to do." I'm like, "Oh no," like yeah, like, but if you have that kind of experience, there's no way you're gonna do anything else, right? Like, it's kind of like, but I just like you guys think it's like, oh man, wrestling like sex, drugs, rock and roll, and even I kind of exposed myself with that kind of stuff earlier. So like, yes, it is a lifestyle like that, but that also happens at like McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, like every company that,
I don't know if this is. You don't really put 22,000 miles on your car, at Chick-fil-A though. That's
Word.
the
yeah,
only difference.
that's true, but that's the thing, like that's but wrestling's fun and you get to travel and see the world. And a lot of people tell me it's like you shouldn't or they think like that's a bad idea for letting my daughter wrestle. It's that only reason I left Georgia is because of wrestling. Only reason I've been to Japan 50 times is wrestling. Only reason I've been to all 50 states is because of wrestling. Europe, Mexico, Canada, all that stuff is because of wrestling. Why would I not want that for my daughter to see the world? So like, yes, there's crazy stuff happens, but also crazy stuff happens every single day, at every profession. So
So when okay, so she gets the hot tag. She's doing all this stuff. This is the
yeah,
first time she's ever wrestled, or like has
yeah,
she
yeah,
the first time ever? And
yeah, yeah.
she's nice off the rip.
Yeah, I want to send you the clip of it. Afterwards, where you can see it, but this baby girl got down. I'm like, but she, she's an athlete. Like she did play basketball, volleyball, softball, and she did do some cheerleading. But I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, I freaked out, dude. Like, cause I seen her play sports and I seen her get in tangles with basketball and jump balls and all that kind of stuff. But like when I went down and I saw her start whooping Shannon Moore's ass, I was like, that was like so real, dude. That rush of baby girl doing what daddy does and fighting, I guess, like or wrestling, like that. I was like, man, that was crazy, dude. That was crazy.
Yeah, no, I could only imagine, that experience. But you've talked about, different different professions and things like that. Also getting cut quite a few times. Your words, not mine. But you also, I remember seeing like this WWE YouTube video, and it was like, you know, catching up with you at the time, and you had a party bus.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, everybody from New York, they have their own party bus era where for some reason, for 1 year straight, they rented so many party buses. So with that being said, like what is like one of the craziest things that could have even happened on a Jimmy Wang Yang ran party bus?
So I used to get that question a lot. You know, it's like, man, this is wild, right? Like it's crazy. Like, and even I had theme party buses, just like tonight's Jimmy Wang Yang. That's why you got the cowboy hat on and acting like that. So you know, Jimmy's redneck party bus, yo, act like a redneck. And then I had the princess bus, and the girls get all done up and all that kind of stuff. Had the Bengals bus, Hoo Day baby, Cincinnati Bengals, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of crazy stuff that has happened on that bus. But before the party bus, I seen all that stuff in the wrestling business. So it's kind of like, okay, like, oh, you know, what's the crazy, like every night people would puke on the bus. Like it was a constant puking every weekend. But then people be, you know, wang yanging it out in the back of the redneck party bus. Like, it's like, oh, I don't care, you know, whatever you pay me, it's $150 an hour. So like, hopefully you last a few hours, you know. But you know, but it's like, you know, I saw it all in the wrestling world, and I saw it again with the redneck or the party bus business. Like your these eyes have seen a lot. So,
Man. And so Vince pitches you that cowboy gimmick. And so whose idea was it to turn it up to 10 where it's like the most stereotypical cowboy? And I guess the punchline is it's coming from somebody who doesn't look like a cowboy. So,
yeah.
you know, was that you? Are you like, you know what, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna dial it all the way up and be that guy?
Yeah, so you know, the idea, you know, Vince say, hey, I want you to be a Korean redneck, and I want your name to rhyme. You know, okay, whatever. You know, it's like I don't, you know, like I know Codie and all talking shit, like, you know, like, but like as a wrestler, say I just one thing I really, you know, I love like being a professional wrestler as a job. Like this is so much better than hitting that alarm clock at 5:45 every morning. So it's like I didn't like didn't bother. I'll be a professional wrestler, and you learn all these techniques and all this acting before you can do this. You know, that's your, you know, that's why I wanted to bust Codie's chops a little bit about. So, you know, we do all this training to when somebody gives us an idea, you try to make it get over, and hopefully 15 years later, they're still talking about you. That means you did something right, right? I think, you know, so good or bad, whatever. But so the idea was that, but it was my job to create the character and turn it up to 15. And really, like, it's, you know, I grew up in, you know, in Atlanta. I kind of grew up on this side of town. Codie and Xavier Woods, they grew up on the other side of town. So so only I only had three other Asians that graduated with me, so a lot of uh, redneck influences around me growing up. You know, so even that character, I just thought of all my goofy ass white friends that I grew up with, like, yeah, you know, oh, Deuce has, you know, I wasn't really a country guy, you know, like I used to, you know, your boy used to go to Freaknik down in Atlanta, like it's like, you know, my favorite, like, rap guy. That's the thing, Manny, I think you're young, but like, I used to love Uncle Luke Skywalker, you know, Two Live Crew and stuff, you know, like, you know, that was, you know,
Oh my god, bro.
Absolute legend. That the fact that you were doing all of that and they were like, "Yeah, we need you to be the country guy." Meanwhile, you're just like, "I'm not even trying to do it."
yeah. So and that's even I don't know how much you know Atlanta. I used to live off of it used to be called Bankhead Highway, you know, so the Bankhead Bounce and all this kind of stuff. like the A-Town Stomp, but this was before the A-Town Stomp, but they had to change the name of the highway because that's used to where we used to go buy all our extracurricular stuff, so I got a bad rap, so they changed the name of it. So, but anyways, growing up with, 3 Asian kids and a bunch of rednecks around me, and I just took from them. I'm like, what do you guys like, and I just remember how they talked. I'm like, how am I introduced? Like that Gar Brooks, man, you know, So I kind of got my stuff from them. So,
Now, does that make you like turn into a country guy after that? Now you're like, damn, now I have to kind of like, country music and all this stuff, be hip to all the new episodes of Reba, CW or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, you over here, you're like, I'm trying to listen to like rap and things like that. They're forcing you to listen to Toby Keith.
Word. I want to listen to Mobb Deep.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's the thing. There's the whole world kind of opened up me because I started studying character and trying to. I knew CMT had a channel, but I never, I grew up. I don't want to say. Well, I like BET, I was like, I don't know, my movie's The Last Dragon, I love, whatever. But they have a whole channel and started watching it, and I was like, started. Some of the songs are actually pretty good. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually pretty good. Some of it, and they're not talking about the tractor or the dog, but it's whatever. But then, that's the thing. It kind of did open up this world, and then I remember I used to get my celebrity look-alike. I remember people would, when at the airport signing autographs, and old ladies be coming up to me and it's like, man, I really love that song you did. I was like, what? It's like they thought I was like Tim McGraw, with the cowboy hat and stuff. I'm like, you think I'm a country singer, but playing the part, so but that was kind of wild. I was like, I'm you see these right here, this is the I know I had the cowboy hat, but whatever. But it was a whole new world.
Happens with me too in Houston, so I get
What's that?
confused with country artists all the time when I put my cowboy hat on.
Yeah. Who? Hootie?
Yeah. They definitely think I'm Codie or Jelly Roll. It always it changes.
Hold on. So, and this, I guess we could close with this question because
No, I got a question for you, PH.
Was all right. Let me
What's
ask.
who's your favorite country artist and song?
My favorite country artist.
Song too. Song.
My favorite country song. Damn. My favorite country artist is Nelly. My favorite country song is "Ride with Me."
So
I've been. They put me on. What's boy's name now? Morgan Wallen. Yeah, I tap into a little Morgan Wallen every now and then.
Name one song
From Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look it up real quick.
No, you can't cheat.
It's the song where he's talking about him and the shorty. I don't know the name exactly. I know it's the song where he's talking about him and his girl though. That's like all of them. But I feel him though. You feel the lyrics? The lyrics pierce the heart.
You bullshitting line. Oh man.
No, but you mentioned that you grew up in Atlanta. You said, look, I was watching CMT, but I wanted to watch BET. I was at Freaknik. I'm listening to Uncle Luke, and we all know Uncle Luke is a strip club veteran, captain. You lived in Atlanta. I want to know, do you have any strip club stories?
Oh man.
If you don't, it's like you gotta have one.
No, I got I just only have one. Only have one. All right. So I only have only have one. But that's at me starting wrestling so young. Like all the other wrestlers were like jacked up drug dealers or bouncers. So like but oh man, I don't know about this story. So like, but it's 2025, right? So you guys know what cockle is, or hot wifing, or bills, or cougar hunters, and stuff like.
You know, I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
I think I can pick up the context clues in all
yeah.
of those.
You know what? Do I need to give you a definition of cockholding?
The main dude is just there, just like just sitting there watching.
Someone's just watching like this.
No, he's watching like this.
Oh.
Come on, APH. I know you know. Come on.
I don't know. I ain't never do. You did it, not me.
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah. Wrestling has to be the funniest industry of all time.
I'm telling you.
But remember how young I was? I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know this dude, whatever, wanted me to do that to his girlfriend or whatever. But he was also a bouncer at the strip club, and he's like, "Oh, Jimmy, she works here. Like, come on up and hang out." I'm like, 17 years old, 18 years old. I get to go to the strip club. Oh no, like, pew, like I'm there. So, but like all Atlanta, clubs, #1 clubs in the world. I would just say, so the only time I've been there at one time, So,
There's no place like home.
Right? What, do you have a favorite or no?
yeah, I used to, I can't even say this right. I want but yeah, I just go with Magic City and was the place, But like, there's other places that are a little bit more in the south side of Atlanta that's a lot more fun, So like,
Right.
So you were in Magic City with Big Meech, just throwing. You were going band for band.
I was there way before him. Like, this is back in before they had lemon pepper wings there.
Pulled up to Magic City with his WCW contract. Like, look, y'all.
Yeah, they're like,
You do it in the air.
I tried.
He said they said no to my Acura, but guess where? Guess where I can spend this money?
Yeah.
He folded his contract in half and slid it down the tripper's ass.
Yeah.
He was like,
Yeah. Crazy time, dude.
oh,
That's what it's all about, though. Creating memories,
No,
and that's what you did.
That's what it's all about, is just creating memories, like, because don't have these memories, like, life is kind of boring, so it's like,
yeah, 100%.
Exactly. So, what are you up to now besides just releasing this book?
yeah, so that's the thing. The big time thing is the reason that book got released tonight. James Young's time, my crazy ass life. Like that was my childhood growing up, like a deadbeat dad. My mom was in a cult, like all this other crazy stories, pro wrestling, all this kind of stuff. Like so that's what dropped today on Amazon and all the audiobooks. But my main other focus is my daughter Jazzy Yang. She's the prettiest. She's the baddest. She's the baddest mofo no down around this town. She is the show Yang of wrestling. Jazzy Yang. So you know where that comes from, right? I just wonder.
I just wish my dad had that much enthusiasm when I did some shit, man.
I wish my dad was around.
My dad's probably listening to this podcast, so hey.
Fuck that motherfucker. Like, fuck him. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, good job, Manny.
I gotta put him over.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's how I am with my daughter. We had this bond, and I really, that's why I didn't realize I had so much trauma until I wrote this book. I was like, dang, there's some built up anger in there, So, but yeah, but jazzyang.com, check her out on all the socials. this book is my retirement money. So buy a movie. I'm just kidding.
Buy 7 copies. Throw away your Flowers for Algernon, Of Mice and Men, any other books you may have. You see this book right here? Throw it away. We're picking up James Yun's time autobiography.
Yo, in honor of you, Jimmy Wang Yang, I'm gonna throw this book in the trash and I'm gonna order your book, man.
Yeah, don't throw away your Bible, man.
Nah, this ain't my Bible on my phone. You feel me? Yo, wait, by the way, you said it's an audio book also. Who narrated the audio book? Was it you? Were you speaking?
Bro, this is the craziest shit ever. It's like I was trying to do it, and then like, you know, I can't read or shit. So like, so I was like, man, how can I do this? You know, so AI is taking over the world, right? Like Terminator 2 is coming. Like it's like, but so I found this AI website and I read for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden these whatever they had my voice. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy, dude. Like, it's like they use the AI Jimmy Wang Yang's voice to narrate the book. So it blew my mind. I'm like, 'cause I thought it was gonna be fake. I'm like, you can't get it spot on, but like, I'm like, dude, that is me. Like, that's me narrating it. So
You might have to use that for podcasts. What if we just say a couple words into a computer, upload whatever happens in wrestling into the AI, and then let it create the pod, and we just collect the checks?
Yeah, I'm with it.
Bro, you gotta be careful. Don't be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, no, I completely ruined my life doing that. Yeah, no.
The AI says something and gets me canceled. Whole time it's really me saying wild shit, and I'm like, yo, it's the AI, not me.
So that everything that I said that's gonna get me canceled in this interview was AI. It wasn't the real me. So
there we go. This was the first. This is the
me
test
heat,
episode.
Yeah, so I'm blaming it on AI.
This is 100% AI. Nothing y'all seen here in this interview was real, y'all. But make sure you guys go get the book. It's out right now. Go cop that. Go show love. Go support. You feel me? Jimmy Wang Yang. We mentioned you in the, you feel me, the pantheon of greatness when it comes to SmackDown, that good old era. Also, little known fact, yo, SmackDown versus Raw 2009. Yo, I used to wrestle with you so much in SmackDown versus Raw 2009.
Your boy's badass on that game. I was the Luke Kang of SmackDown. Come on.
Yeah.
You were nice in that game. And it was like you were like underrated nice. I'll pick you. My boys would pick Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I'll pick Jimmy Wang Yang. They're like, yo, stupid. And I'm over here doing planches, springboards. I'm killing them with you.
Moveset was legendary. Legendary moveset.
Super legendary, man. But we appreciate you tapping in with us. Hey, man, this is one for the books, man. And yo, I know this is a Manny all-timer right here.
Listen, I've been a big Jimmy Wang Yang fan. Like I said, I used to be in my dad's house on Fridays, every other weekend. So all I remember was like cowboy hat, tank top, going crazy. And I was like, yo, this Jimmy Wang Yang guy, he's the real deal. So I'm not even gonna hold you. I mean, you're the guy.
Well, I appreciate you guys so much. I've seen the comments and stuff. You guys, looking out for me and giving me some flowers. So a lot, I love it, and I appreciate the sport, and just always remember, I'm Jimmy Wang Yang. I'm your boy. Yeah.